Hi everybody, I'm Alan Fowler. As the program says, I'm Gene's big brother, although that wasn't true for most of our lives. If the one picture of me and him with an elephant made it into this thing, and I haven't seen it yet, I'm 6 and he's 4 and he's already bigger than I am. So. But that was one of the things that we were lucky to do as kids. We got to hang out with some pretty cool animals because of our father being a veterinarian. Anyway, so this is a celebration of Gene's life, and we want to thank Pomona for letting us use this venue and for supporting us and our family, and for all the people and the colleagues that he has had an opportunity to work with. We really appreciate being able to hold this function here. One of the things that I think about the most with Gene was his childlike exuberance in the life that's around us, and always poking his nose into this animal, or looking out at the stars, or just looking around him. And he did a lot of things with that. One of the things that he did was become very involved in biology, of course. He also did a lot with music, and we're going to have a couple of musical selections here. And then we're going to let the kids come up at the very end when Dave and I are going to play a song in his memory, and let the kids participate in that at the end of this program. I'm pretty certain that I was instrumental in him learning how to wrestle penguins, which was a big part of his early biological life. My dad was doing a sabbatical in England when I was 12 and Gene was 10, and we got to go on this lake in Germany with a rowboat, so they let us go out by ourselves. In hindsight, maybe not the best decision in the world, but we were told that there were a pair of nesting swans over across the lake and that we should do our best to stay away from them. And of course, we went directly towards them. And we got pretty close, and the male swan comes over and starts heading towards our boat. So then, I'm pretty sure it was Gene, splashed the swan with his oar. That was a fatal mistake. Both of them came after us, and like I said, that's where he first learned how to wrestle a bird, because one of the swans came into the rowboat with us. I don't quite know how we got out of there, because those things are pretty darn vicious, but anyway, that started him in his life of biological sciences, as far as I'm concerned. We always did a lot of things together, and I just think of the inner child that was in him. That's what I really choose to remember the most. And I'm so thankful that here in the last few years, he was able to get married and have a child of his own, and see what it's like to have children in your life again. And I'm thankful to Cindy and to Zachary for being such a big part of his life. I guess the rest of the people that are on the program, if they would just come up as each person before them finishes, we'll continue on with the program, and thank you again.
Good afternoon. I am Cecilia Conrad, also known as Cece. And on behalf of President David Oxtoby, I welcome you to Pomona College and to this gathering to celebrate the life of our faculty colleague and a member of this campus community. Gene's life and work reflected a pioneering spirit. For his doctoral research in zoology at the University of Washington, He studied the long-term pair bonds of penguins, long before Morgan Freeman and the National Geographic film March of the Penguins made the birds pop stars. Gene's later research documented the dangers of that pop star status by demonstrating the stressful effects of tourism. Gene joined the Pomona faculty in 1993. Again, he was a pioneer. At Pomona, he developed new courses in conservation biology, comparative endocrinology, and environmental science. He was instrumental in the founding of the Environmental Analysis Program and was a staunch advocate for the Bernard Field Station, where he served as director from 1994 to 2001 and continued to supervise senior theses at the field station. His students respected his deep knowledge of his material, his enthusiasm, and his sense of fun. I want to share with you a few nuggets from student nominations for the Wig Award. One student: provided me with unbelievable opportunities for undergraduate research over the past 2 years. I am very lucky to have worked with this outstanding man. Another student: knows so much about endocrinology and the environment, so interesting to talk to. And another: love those sweater vests. We will hear shortly from Gene's faculty colleagues in biology and environmental analysis. But I knew him best through his son, Zach. And so as I close, I want to speak directly to him. Zach, I don't know if you remember last spring when we were at the trustee faculty retreat and we were looking through the telescope at night. And you were upset because you couldn't find your parents. Do you remember that? Even though you were upset, you found comfort from many of us who stopped to ask you what was wrong or took your hand and searched with you for your parents. Your dad was sort of there even though he wasn't there, because his friends were there. And your dad will always be there in the love of your mother, in the hugs from his family, in the homework help, career, and later romantic advice from his friends, colleagues, and former students. He will be there when you go for hikes or camp out under the stars, and remember his dedication to keeping those spaces pristine and beautiful. He will be there for you, and we will all be there for you.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Wright and I'm a member of the biology department here at Pomona College. I'd like to just start by giving my condolences and thoughts to Cynthia and Zach and all of Gene's family. Zach, your dad was a wonderful man. I knew Gene as a colleague and a friend since arriving at Pomona in 1998. He was invariably warm and supportive to a junior colleague and a source of wise counsel. Gene was a biologist's biologist, remarkably broadly read, knowledgeable of cell biology and biochemistry, physiology, evolutionary biology, and ecology, and a very accomplished naturalist is supposed to be known. His far-ranging biological interests were grounded in a common passion for the unparalleled beauty of living systems. And aesthetically, there was no distinction to him between the physical beauty of a stark desert ecosystem, the mating display of a sage grouse to a sage hen, or the exquisite functional precision of a peptide hormone transduction pathway. One of my favourite activities was to ask Gene to come into my office and look at a recent photograph and then share his enthusiasm, during which I would frequently, or almost invariably, actually learn something new about the material. And with apologists to the non-biologists here, I can just give you a couple of examples. So I can show him a picture of a slender salamander. Gene might say, "Is that a black-bellied micropintrus? The batrachosets have a very clear raceme crux, and that refers to the fact that they have a divergence of genetics and morphology along a distribution that approximately circumscribes the San Joaquin Valley." Or he might say, if I showed him a picture of a porwheel, "Oh yes, they have a magnificent tapetum lucidum," referring to the mirror of guanine crystals behind their retina that supplements light capture at night. And that's just two examples of the sort of exchange that Gene would enrich me with. Gene's abiding passion for nature fueled an inseparable commitment to conservation and biodiversity protection. His doctoral research with John Winfield and Dean Rosenwell at the University of Washington examined the reproductive endocrinology of Magellanic penguins, their stress responses to handling oil fouling, and it took him to remote parts of Patagonia where he honed his fluency in Spanish. Daniel Martinez told me that Gene spoke Spanish with a, quote, perfect Argentinian accent. As well as informing the impacts of human disturbance, Gene's research also gave him a close understanding of many of the rare and locally endemic species of the pampas in coastal South America. Later, he went on to study the critically endangered Guan kingfisher, using steroid hormone measurements to assess the link between stress and breeding success in captive populations. These and other research projects informed his popular courses in endocrinology and conservation biology. I was fortunate enough to co-supervise several senior theses with Gene, and these tended to bridge the two fields, for example, monitoring the levels of synthetic estrogens in local waterways to assess their potential impact on male reproductive success of native fish populations. His ability to guide students in the conception of projects that address pertinent and testable environmental problems made a strong impact on students and shaped the careers of many. We owe much of the college's current progress in sustainability efforts to Gene's early leadership. He remained unwavering in his commitment to educating students in the wider campus community on sustainability and conservation, chairing the advisory committee for many years, as Cecilia said, and working with a small group of faculty to establish the college's environmental analysis program in the late 1990s. The continued growth and expansion of the program to become one of the largest 5-college majors was a source of great delight and reassurance to Gene. Gene was a voracious reader, non-fiction in the classics, political history and the arts, as well as conservation and sustainability literature, which he devoured. Though most of us might first describe Gene as a gentle and quite private person, his convictions were indomitable. He loved baseball, as most of us know, I think, and was a die-hard Giants fan. Nina Karnofsky recounted a time when she accompanied Gene to a game between the Giants and the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium, and Gene showed up in full Giants regalia. He could be delightfully candid when he was critiquing devious political agendas or short-sighted policy, and most of us probably all have our favourite Gene epithets. His passion also came out in his music, and again, as many of us know, he was a multi-talented musician, a wonderful guitarist, and wrote much of his own material, as we're going to hear, most of that in rhythm and blues. He was also a lover of classical music and jazz. He and I twice went to LA jazz clubs, very memorable concerts by McCoy Tyner, who was the phenomenal pianist of the John Coltrane Quartet. Those were particularly memorable times for me. Towards the end of every winter semester, the biology department hosts its faculty dessert party. At these grand events, Gene would turn up with a tray of ceramic ramekins, armed with a handheld torch, and he would produce his famous creme brulee. His wonderful conversation, grand ideals, and warmth are each a special and unique part of who he was. While we struggled to come to terms with his passing, he gave us so much that we endured.
Hello, I'm Richard Hazlitt from the Environmental Analysis Program. A bright day on the Carrizo Plain, a golden grassland in early summer stretching between two ribs of the southern coast range. Turkey vultures, or yes, maybe even California condors soaring in a blank blue sky, as they did when the Spanish first trundled awkwardly through the space 200 years ago. Another occasion, standing at the foot of the huge Permian coral reef, now high and dry, forming the spine of the Guadalupe Mountains in Texas, learning about how lizards survive for months, scurrying across rock so dreadfully hot and spiny that it almost hurts to look at it. Even the birds hide in the shade on days like this. And still another time, standing mouths agape, watching the astonishing sight of thousands of bats spiraling airborne out of the amphitheater-like entrance of Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico. Seeing the hawks picking in vain for prey at the edge of this living, escaping cyclone. Bats too many, too fast for the predators tonight. It makes you want to laugh with delight. These were just 3 of numerous occasions for learning from Gene, who helped deepen my appreciation and understanding for the timeless wonder and awesomeness of the natural world. I was certainly not alone in savoring his words. Many of us enjoyed his spontaneous field presentations. Gene was our guide, not a filter dispensing mere blackboard theory, not the focal point as an intervening personality, but the guide into a world that he saw, loved, and shared with great pleasure and absorption. Gene's gift and legacy extended well beyond these moments in the field. He was, as my colleagues have noted, pivotal in establishing the Environmental Analysis Program, the biggest interdisciplinary program currently intact at Pomona. Gene volunteered his time and energy to pioneer teaching the pilot core in 2 environmental courses. Then he served as our vital link to the ecology wing of the biology department, without which environmental analysis could not stand. Joining Rhoda Borcherding, our resourceful study abroad director, he also established our very successful globalization and the environment program at the University of Cape Town, where in fact he co-taught the first few classes. He spoke glowingly of his explorations in the Western Cape during his free time there, to a local family inn with family hospitality near Elands Bay, to the land bordering the Klein Karoo, wine and ostrich country, where he enjoyed conversing with some of South Africa's first free black farmers. He took great delight in bold explorations. Near Cape Town, too, is an African penguin rookery Gene absolutely loved. Penguins were, of course, one of his great passions. We all know that. I have a wind-up toy penguin that walks helter-skelter on my study at home whenever family are over to visit. And honestly, I can't help but think of Gene with that big warm grin and get up and go when I see that wobbly, happy toy. No, I'll never get rid of it now. It's a simple link to memories of a man who really made a difference for the better to me personally and to my institution. Gene and Cindy also fully participated, helped organize and lead our 2 ambitious environmental analysis student-faculty field seminars to the WIP Nuclear Repository, the California State Assembly, the Tule Elk Range, and the Hohokam ruins of Casa Grande, to see places and meet people throughout the West important to understanding our regional environmental dilemma. These few weeks spent in the field in close contact with dedicated students and faculty from multiple disciplines, all learning new, important things together, were the most intellectually engaging and beautiful that I've known in my years at Pomona. I've certainly heard other trip participants make the same claim. Gene and Cindy both, as a team, were key reasons for this experience, pastels to last a lifetime. Things were often tough for Gene, we can't paper over that. They're often tough for each of us in different private ways, but this does not diminish. In fact, it highlights Gene's greatest personal quality, his unsolicited generosity and the deep care he felt for a good, humane, sustainable world. I know this through seeing the passion of his teaching, his willingness to commit beyond conventional borders when he felt the cause was right, yes, even his delight with sharing his musical talent. Gene still lives in ways that I think he would find most satisfying. Bravo, Gene, bravo, mate. I'm sorry your chapter ended so soon, but speaking for many of us in environmental analysis, we'll ever remain grateful for having known you as a colleague, mentor, and friend. Thank you, Gene.
I'm Janet Alcama, Jean's younger sister, but the oldest girl. When I started to think about what I wanted to say about Jean, I decided I had to focus my thoughts, and so I decided to think about the letters of his name, Jean Scott Fowler. G is for guitar. Given many opportunities by his mother to develop his musical talents, Jean learned to play the guitar at the Davis Art Center. Jean and Alan provided many hours of entertainment at our family reunions, strumming such favorites as I'm a Junk Food Junkie. Although Jean decided to stop piano lessons when he was a youth, he later resumed his study of piano and composition as a college student, asking his mother the classic question, "Why did you let me stop?" Jean played his own piano composition at my wedding reception, which I will always remember. E is for education. Emphasis on the importance of education by parents and grandparents most likely influenced Jean in his decision to pursue the long process of attaining his PhD. Now, despite some struggles with math in high school, when he was convinced that he could not solve math problems, he kept on trying until a professor in college helped him to overcome and conquer his math phobia. N is for nature. Camping and hiking trips with Jean's father always involved lessons on nature and the importance of the world around us and caring about the world around us. So it's not surprising that Jean would choose a profession that allowed him to spend so much time in the outdoors, studying and trying to protect the environment that he loves so much. E is for explorer. My children still remember Jean's fascinating stories about his trips to Argentina and South Africa. S is for singing. Before the days of iPods and portable DVD players, our family sang together on road trips to pass the time. Jean enthusiastically participated in this family tradition of sing-alongs. And I will always remember Jean when we sing some of our favorite songs, such as You Are My Sunshine. C is for conversationalist. A discussion with Jean always meant that you learned something new. He enjoyed sharing his vast knowledge of many different topics. O is for ornithologist. Jean's love of birds probably began with a pet owl with only one wing and an unfriendly African gray parrot that only liked men. Jean always appreciated a penguin-related gift at Christmas. T is for truck driver. In order to earn money for pursue his master's degree, Jean took a job as a truck driver. He knew how to work hard to achieve his goals. I remember him pulling up his big rig up to the loading dock of the hospital that I worked at in Napa, taking the time for a very quick visit with me. T is for teacher. Jean thrived on teaching, as we've heard so much about already. F is for father. Although Jean became a father at a later age, I admired the way that he fully embraced this new role. I could tell how much he loves Zachary when he talked about his progress and his sports activities. Jean felt that family was a priority, and I never doubted his love for Cindy because of the positive comments he always made. We never heard him complaining about his wife. O is for outfield. Jean continued his obsession with baseball even in the hospital, and he complained to me about missing some of the games because the television didn't have the right channels or something. W is for water sports. As a child, Jean swam in a swimming pool every single day, and he competed in the dive team at high school. As a family, we enjoyed canoeing and houseboating and water skiing. Our favorite activity at Lake Berryessa was capsizing the canoe and then trying to flip it back over so we could make it back to shore. L, love of learning. Gene never stopped learning, and then he always shared what he learned. E is for encyclopedia. Gene gave detailed descriptions to any question and detailed answers. His vivid memory of events made you feel like you were there. And even in the hospital, when he had difficulty speaking, he wanted to share his experiences, and you definitely did not want to visit the nursing home that he stayed at. R is for reading. My last memories of Gene involve walking into the hospital room and seeing him reading a novel. A shared love of reading binds our family together. G, guitar. E, education. N, nature. E, explorer. S, singing. C, conversationalist. O, ornithologist. T, truck driver. T, teacher. F, father. O, outfield. W, water sports. L, love of learning. E, encyclopedia. R, reading. That was my brother, Gene Scott Fowler.
My name is John Peters. I'm Gene's brother-in-law. My sister asked me to say a few words about his time with our family. As mentioned many times already today, that Gene's depth of knowledge was very vast and expansive, especially regarding the natural sciences. So my sister's first dates with Gene were bird watching. One of the, as it's also been said, Gene, you could ask Gene a question about any insect, bird, or animal, and you'd always have a short answer, always have an answer or a short story. One of these stories that I remember most vividly was when me and my son came back from the liberated tar pits, and my son asked him about the giant sloth. And Gene went ahead and told John about how the giant sloths were related to modern-day armadillos, and proceeded to walk over to his music area and pull off an Argentinian instrument off the wall that was made out of an armadillo shell. Another time when we were down in SeaWorld, we were at the penguin exhibit, and Gene was very excited to come to the boys, hey, these are the same penguins that I studied down in Argentina. Which the boys were like, really? You saw these in the wild? And that made him, that was a great experience as well. But in regards to all of his knowledge, and what really stands out in my mind is that all the questions that we ever asked him, anybody in my family, the kids or myself, no matter how mundane, he always answered them nobly, with patience, without any exasperation. And I think that was something great that our boys were able to see in Gene as a good role model on how to listen to anybody who asks you a question. And I think that probably his former colleagues and students also appreciated this quality in Gene as well. Last night I asked my sons to tell me a couple of their favorite memories about Gene, and both of their answers came up with food. They must be the boys, but Adam said he loved his Thanksgiving turkeys. And then John said he loved his barbecues, and they always made really good food. Fortunately, many of you have had the opportunity to have barbecue at Gene's house. He's always barbecuing. I can picture him to this day standing in front of his brick oven barbecue, gazing out his garden with the chimney fire starters sitting next to him, and the smoke from the barbecue just flowing up over him. I'm sure that image will never leave my mind. My son has also said that he was very good during water fights, and that he was very friendly as well. So I don't know if that meant that some of us weren't particularly friendly during water fights, but I guess Gene was. Whether it was with water guns, super soakers, or full-on buckets, Gene was giving as good as he got. And that was something that really endeared him to my family, because he fully participated in any of our family traditions, whether it was quirky like the Easter egg hunts, or just any tradition. He was always there every birthday, Thanksgiving, and that was something that really endeared him to our family. Janetto's already mentioned his love of books. My family also loves books very much, and that was one of the things that I really enjoyed about Gene. Almost since the first day we met, we discussed books, and that's one thing I'm definitely going to miss about Gene, was discussing literature of all types with him. A few final thoughts. Jean loved you, Zachary, very, very much. My mom said she remembered driving to the house and seeing Jean standing out on his front porch and seeing just this glow on his face about being so proud about having his new son at home. My sister said how she let Zachary tattoo his arms with the erasable markers. And then, of course, the story about the bug flew onto Jean's nose, this big beetle that anybody else would probably run screaming, or I would run screaming, but the beetle flew on my nose. But he said, no, wait, Zachary, come here, check out this big beetle on my nose. And she also said how one of the favorite activities during the summer is spending hours upon hours out in the inflatable pool in the backyard. I think one of the great gifts that Jean gave to Zachary was about his natural curiosity about the world around him. How he's always asking Cindy or anybody, what animal is that? What animal or bird is this? And I said, well, you'd have to ask your dad. I don't really know. But nowadays, he's actually showing me as we grow up, hey, Uncle John, do you know what that animal is? I'm like, no, he'll tell me. So that's great. And I can only imagine Jean, the child of Zachary's age, in the backseat of his mom and dad's car, asking his mom and dad, hey, what's that, mom? Hey, what's that, dad? And later on telling them the same thing. I miss you, Jean. We'll miss you, Jean. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
What a delight it is to be here today to speak to the celebration of a person that I've known for quite a few years. The only person that's known him longer than I have is his mother, who was a few months ahead of me in that regard. But friends, colleagues, family, this is not a time to be somber. In fact, Alan just alluded to me as about before I came up, saying, should we clap? And I almost wanted to say yes, yes, because talent was something that Gene knew. He expressed it, and he appreciated other people showing their appreciation of this. One of the choice experiences that I had was to come to Pomona College and participate in the class with Gene. I knew of his knowledge of nature and natural history, but I was able to see how he interacted with people. And after all, that's what's really important in this world, is interaction with people. And then I also had an occasion to have him write a chapter in a book that I was editing. And that was a thrill too, to see his name there and to see the work that he's been doing and I've known about, talked about. It's a wonderful thing. But we're here today to give a blessing to this assembled group, to Zach and Cindy and her family, and my family, and all our friends. Because Gene, we know, is in another place. And we are here, and we would like to be able to be with him again. And it's my belief that we will be able to be with him again if we live up to the standards that he has set for us, that we know that our Father in heaven is pleased with him. So now join me in a blessing, if you will, please. Our Father in heaven, we are here to express appreciation to the life of one of thy sons. And we're sorrowful that he has passed to another sphere, but we can be happy in the legacy that he leaves, that he has done so much for so many people for each of us in a special way. And we ask thy blessings upon Cindy and Zach, that they may be able to hold their heads high, knowing that he was my dad and he was my husband. And bless us that each one of us may endeavor to emulate some of the good points that Jean shared with everybody in the world. And we pray for these things, knowing that thou lovest all. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
I blame Jean for my ability to play the piano, such as it is, because as Janet mentioned, he and Alan, I think, made Mom's life so miserable with not wanting to practice that she let them quit. And of course, I'm the youngest sister, so by the time I was old enough to want to quit, Jean had already asked that infamous question, why did you ever let me quit? So she didn't let me quit. And I'm grateful for that. This is a piece that Jean wrote in 1977, and he presented it to us as a family as our Christmas gift that year, and it meant a lot to us. And a year or so after that, I played it for some church young women's function. I don't remember what it was. And I knew Jean didn't really want to come to church, but he came and listened to me play his piece, and that meant a lot to me. So I'm happy to play this. It's Prelude in C major, written by Jean Fowler. And my lovely assistant, Linda.
So Cindy asked Dave and I to end this celebration with a musical selection. We invited my daughter Kathleen to join us. We're going to play With a Little Help from My Friends by the Beatles. Anyone who would like to join in is welcome. We've also got some instruments that kids could use if they'd like to come up and play a tambourine. I know Zach wants to get into the madness here. Any other children that would like to come up, we've got some different percussion instruments and all kinds of stuff that you can join along with. And we're going to give you an excellent rendition of this Beatles classic. So we're thinking if we could do this in just one night and get together, that we're probably future recording stars. You saw us here first. That concludes our celebration. I believe there are refreshments outside for those so inclined. I'm not quite sure where they've got it set up, but I want to thank you all for coming and for participating in the celebration of Gene Fowler's life. Thank you.